Welcome to Yoga with Cynthia. I'm Cynthia Bialik. I'm both the host and the producer for this program. And Irene is with me today. We're both going to be demonstrating yoga asanas for you. We're going to focus today on chest opening, allowing the spine to extend. And our theme today is things are looking up with yoga. So most of us spend a great deal of our day looking down, checking emails, doing paperwork, so eating our food, so our heads are always down, and oftentimes because the weight of our head is so heavy in comparison to the rest of our body, we wind up supporting that weight by rounding the shoulders and falling inward. So today we're going to focus on bringing everything back up, aligning the shoulders with your hips, and then doing a lot of back extension work. But with that said, if you have some condition of your low back and you know that you tend to have low back tightness or tenderness back there, you may want to watch today's show for its content and then seek the advice of your healthcare professional. But if you have a yoga mat and you want to join us today, go ahead and bring it in front of the TV. We're going to go ahead and start at the front of our mat. And we're going to start with our chest opened here and do some warm-up preparation. So I want you to lift your chest up to the ceiling. Allow your palms to be facing the outside of your mat. Lift your chest and reach through the fingers so you really feel a stretch across the front of your chest and shoulders, but also down through the bicep. Then we're going to bring those arms up in the air. And keep your thumbs back over your shoulders as you lift up high. Keep your gaze in the air. And then slowly come into prayer. So now our inhale is going to reach up. And our exhale is going to twist to the right. Now our inhale is to reach up. Take the arms back. Extend that spine. Exhale down in prayer. And inhale, reach up. Exhale, twist to your left. Inhale, reach back up in the air. And this time, exhale down in prayer, but sit down in chair. And I want you to take your gaze straight out in front without taking your chin down. You're keeping your eyes straight ahead from your mat. Then you're going to take the arms up in the air. Deep breath in, lift your chest, lean back a little further. Exhale, sit back in chair. This time, bring the arms up in the air. Keep reaching up as you sit down. Swing the arms down and bring that right leg up in the air. Lift your chest up high. Move the ball of your foot around. And we're going to step back with your right foot and come into Virabhadrasana 1. Lift the chest up in the air once again. So in Virabhadrasana 1, we can modify how close we come to the mat by how much we bend our left knee. So you can keep your knee just slightly bent. So if you have any knee issues today, just keep a slight bend to the knee. But I want you to feel the tailbone drop. Relax your low back. And now focus on lifting the chest a little higher. Some of you may be able to slide your left leg a little further forward and bend your knee a little bit more, but lift your chest as high as you can. Then we're going to open in Virabhadrasana 2. Stretch the arms straight out from the shoulders. Look over your right shoulder. And then bring the arms back around and interlace them behind your back. Lift your right heel off the mat. Lift your rib cage towards the front end of your mat. And if you feel you're able to, you can come off your right foot and into floating swan. Lift your chest up as you lift your back heel in the air. Using the strength of your glutes, the strength of your erector spinae muscles, the strength of your quads. Now when we step back, we're going to release that right arm and slide it back over the right shoulder while taking your left arm back. See if you can lock your hands behind your right shoulder and once again move into extension. Look up in the air, lift your chest as high as you feel comfortable. And now just a little release. We're going to slide those arms down the left thigh. Just release the back. Let your head drop to the mat in pyramids pose. Slow breaths here. 2 deep and slow breaths. Then on the last exhale, come back up. Bring the arms up in the air and stand tall in Tadasana. Bring those hands back into prayer and lift that left knee up in the air. Move the ball of your left foot around, engaging your core, engaging your psoas muscles. And then we're going to step that left foot back and lift the chest again. And again, if you have any issues with your knees or with your low back, think about the adjustments you can make. Don't bend your right knee as much. Make sure you're allowing your tailbone to drop, pressing that left thigh forward to stretch the psoas, and then slowly just fall back over your hips. Open the rib cage as much as possible. Keep your gaze in the air. And open to Virabhadrasana 2. Stretch the arms straight out from the shoulders here. Look back over your left shoulder. And start to come around to the front of the room. Bring your arms behind your back. Start to lead with your chest and lift your left leg in the air, floating swan. Continue to breathe there. And as you breathe, you're allowing your chest to lift upward away from the mat, lifting your left leg up away from the mat. And now step back with your left foot. Bring your left arm in the air. Reach back with your right arm and lock those hands there. Look up in the air. Lift the rib cage high. Really feeling the rectus abdominis, your ab muscles stretching as you keep your gaze at the ceiling. And just to give yourself a little release, we're going to unlock those hands here. Bring them on to the right thigh. Slide down your toes. Keep your gaze there at your foot. Come down and hang over your right leg. Let your head drop, stretching out the shoulders and the back. Stay there and breathe. And let's bring those arms back up in the air. And step your feet together and hands in prayer. Interlace your fingers and press the hands up high. And standing backward bend, just lean back, lift the chest up in the air. And as you lift the chest up, release those arms, thumbs are pointing down. Slowly fall into chair pose, keeping the arms up in the air. And swing those arms back. And this time we're going to take a step back with our right foot and turn to the right side of the mat. Now we're going to place our right arm down on the back of your right leg. Lift your chest and look up. Take your left arm back over your shoulder and keep lifting the rib cage as high as you can in a standing backward bend. Then pull forward and bring that left arm to the ground. If you want to use a block, please feel free. Just place that block underneath your left hand and open the chest here. Look up into your right hand. So this is a modified triangle or revolved triangle where we're trying to really focus on the upper body. Roll back into that shoulder. Lift the chest to the ceiling. Trying to bring the left side of your chest as close to the right side of your mat as you can. Then release. Come on down. Bend your knees and return to that standing position. Arms in the air. Take your left arm behind your left thigh. Take your rib cage up high. Reach back with your right arm. Lifting the chest as high as you can. Now pull forward into your right hand. Use your block if you need to, and look up into your left hand. Twist all the way around to the back edge of your mat, opening the chest as much as possible, leaning back into that left shoulder. Two more deep breaths. Now we're going to give ourselves a little release by bringing both hands down. You can move that block down, rest your head on the block. You can allow your head to move down there and just lower the elbows on either side of the block and just stretch out your back. Turn your toes facing in. Stretching out the glutes. Continue to breathe. Now, as you feel you're able, slide your hands underneath your hips so you can move your block and walk those hands under the hips to get a deeper stretch for those hamstrings. And now we're going to turn ourselves to the front end of our mat, and we're going to step back with our left foot and come to our knees. And now from the knees, we're going to spend some time in extension, one side at a time. Those of you that do not have a block and would like to use some kind of a prop, you may be able to use a bolster off your sofa or a small footstool. We're going to place that on the outside of our foot. We're going to roll the right arm up and around a few times to release any tension in the right shoulder. Thumb is up as you reach back and plant that hand on the block. Then press your thigh bones forward and reach up with your left arm. And working at this one side at a time lets you drop the tailbone down a little bit more easily there. Let your left arm come back as much as you feel you can get it back. Lifting the chest up high. You can slide your block down on the lower level and continue reaching back. Now let's come over to the left side, planting the block there wherever you want to have it. We're going to take that right arm in the air, slowly sink back over your shoulder, reaching that right arm back as far as you can, feeling the psoas, feeling the rectus abdominis. Look back. Good. Bring both arms in the air and then down to the mat. And we're in cat pose. Just allow the head to drop. Drive the navel to your spine. Stretch out that low back. And we're ready to come down into the mat. So we're on our bellies. And when we work against the force of gravity, which we actually just worked with the force of gravity on a modified version of camel pose, now we're working against the force of gravity. So we can assist with our elbows. So right now, by having your elbows on the floor and our back is an extension, we're not using the back muscles as much as if we were to do this without the elbows down. So what we're going to try to do is see how much strength you actually have in your back. So we're going to drop down onto the chin, bring your hands to the side, and we're going to start to lift the chin off the mat. So right now we're starting to work those erector spinae muscles. We're starting to really get the neck muscles involved in extension. We're going to pick up the chin and look forward. So now our cervical spine is in extension. We're starting to get the thoracic spine into extension. You're reaching the arms back and continue to lift the ribs off the mat. Stay there and breathe. Deepen those breaths. And now slowly bring the head down. I'm going to release those neck muscles by turning the head to your right to let the left side of your neck stretch. And now turn the head to your left, letting the right side of your neck stretch. So in yoga, we have a pose called locust pose. So we're going to work on that pose today. That pose brings the arms forward in front of the body with your hands facing towards the center of your mat. Your thumbs are reaching up in the air. And you're going to pull your shoulders back so you've got better shoulder stability. Now we're going to do the same thing we did before. We're going to start to lift the chest off the floor, but this time we have to lift the arms as well. We also have to lift the feet as well and engage those glutes. So let's come up, engage those glutes, stretch those arms out in front, hold there and continue to breathe. Lifting the heels up, lifting your arms up, looking between those hands, and then slowly return to the mat. Let your forehead come down, releasing the neck, taking the extension out of the neck. And let's repeat that. Allowing the chest to pull forward, those arms to come upward, lifting the feet off the floor, and this time, if you can, gently rock. And lift up and down. Bring that head to the right once again. And bring the head to the left. Now we're going to roll onto our left hip and look up in the air. Bring that right heel back behind your hip. Reach that right hand around to the outside of your ankle and pull that heel to the buttocks. And this is a wonderful quad stretch. But while we're doing that, go ahead and roll back on the inside of your foot and then gently on the outside of your foot and look up in the air. Really getting that psoas to stretch, getting the quads to stretch. Because we're going to work on another pose called upward facing bow pose. And let's come around to the other side. Roll onto your right hip. Take that left heel back to the buttocks. Reach for the outside of your foot. Drop down on the inside of your foot and then slowly roll to the top of your foot. Stretching those quads, stretching the psoas as much as you can. And then we're going to roll back onto our bellies and we're going to reach back for both of our ankles here. Flex your feet as though you were going to push the feet flat up onto the ceiling. So as you roll the shoulders back this time, instead of pointing your toes, we're pushing the heels and the balls of your feet flat. Look up. Stay there and breathe. Lift your gaze. And slowly release down. Bring your head to the ground. Upward facing bow. Once again, flex your feet. Deep breath in. Exhale. Start to push those feet back into your hands. Lift the rib cage up. And hold there. And let's release down. Bring our hands to the ground. And we need a little release from all the extensions. So we're going to lift our hips up in the air, round out the spine again in cat tilt. And this time we're going to move into extended child's pose. So bring your hands to the very edge of your mat, front edge, and you're going to pull those hips to the rear. Stretch out your back. Let your head come down towards your knees. And we're going to try to isolate that thoracic spine in puppy dog's pose. So lift your hips in the air. Keep your knees directly under the hips. Bring your arms out in front of you and drop the belly down. Keep your gaze forward as you stretch those shoulders and stretch the belly. So we're keeping our thoracic spine in extension, looking out over the front end of your mat. Deepening those breaths. Now let's lower the belly into the mat. Slide your hands right underneath your armpits. Fingertips are at the middle of your chest or at the nipple of your chest. We're going to shrug the shoulders, lead with your collarbone, and upward dog, lifting the rib cage in the air. Allow the shoulders to fall back, lifting the base of the rib cage upward, lifting your chin. Deepen those breaths as you feel the belly stretch. Now round out the spine. Take your gaze to your knees. Curl your toes under. Keep your toes about 6 to 8 inches apart. And we're going to come off the knees into Adho Mukha Savasana, downward facing dog pose. Drop toward your heels. Let your head move between your elbows now. A deep low back. Wiggle your hips around. Feeling the hamstrings lengthening. Bringing that head closer to your knees. Lifting. Pull caps up. Draw thighs back. Pressing the heels into the mat. Now let's twist our dog. Take your left hand off your mat. Bring it over to the outside of your right ankle and look up in the air. Working on internal, external obliques. Left hand is down. Take your right hand around to the left. Twist all the way around. Look under your left shoulder. And we're going to come back onto our knees. And we're going to cross those ankles and have a seat on the buttocks. So now we're going to make our way down to the mat, but before we do, I want you just to take your arms back and feel like you're basking in the sun, lifting your rib cage up in the air here. And we're going to be coming into our final pose, which is corpse pose. So let me just thank you very much for viewing today's program. Until next time, namaste. But join us for Savasana. So gently roll into your mat and make sure that you're planting your shoulders on the mat, but that your low back is not touching. Allow your spine to be in neutral. Open the chest and bring your hands out to the side of your hips. Push into the heels and move the balls of your feet in big circles. And just shake the legs out and in. And now turn your head to the right and then to the left. Just releasing any tension you have in your neck. And we're going to find our neutral spine. Keep your mouth closed and breathe in and out through the nose. 8 slow and deep breaths.